Canoo is yet another California-based EV startup company, not to get confused with Arrival, who is based in the United Kingdom, but both are making all-electric delivery vans with overly simplistic logos, so I get confused sometimes. But Canoo is trying a lot of new technologies and approaching things with a very unique mindset, which is why I wish I would have talked about them sooner, and they're getting a lot of hype and attention right now because they recently unveiled their third prototype, which they've yet to deliver a single vehicle yet, so that's why I'm a bit hesitant on the specs and the prices they can achieve, although all the three vehicles they have unveiled are kind of built on the same platform, so there's lots of different use cases they've come up with for this skateboard technology, but their delivery dates have been pushed back several times. They started with this lifestyle vehicle, and the most interesting part about it to me is the fact that they don't plan on actually selling it. They plan on this being a subscription-only vehicle with all kinds of different use cases they can think of, with different seating arrangements in the back, and they have this very interesting tech called drive-by-wire, which I don't believe is currently legal, but essentially there's only electronic signals between the wheel steering and the steering wheel themselves, which of course has a lot of people wondering about safety as well, because the brakes are by wire at the same time. But their interiors are very futuristic and very modern, because there's not even actually any displays when you get in. There's only a few bits of information presented on the fabric cross beam in front of you, and they expect everything else to be just on your phone, which you put near the steering wheel, and they give you your speed and your stats there. And it seems with the subscription-based model, they want to make everything as simple as possible, so you can subscribe to it for 6 months, 12 months, or even one, and that'll include insurance and registration and everything, and they think that's the business model of the future. I happen to be against subscriptions as much as possible, which is why I'm not too in love with that idea, but their multi-purpose delivery van kind of looks like a Cybertruck-inspired van, and that has me a lot more interested because they're claiming the starting price will be around $33,000, and there's all kinds of different use cases you can come up with delivery vans, and they have two different sizes. The lowest range variant only goes around 130 miles on a charge, but for delivery purposes, you don't need high-range vehicles. In fact, they've been pitching using their multi-purpose delivery vans as mail trucks for a long time because those typically don't have to drive on long distances where you're at high speeds, and typically you can get much higher range when you're traveling at lower speeds, like a lot of delivery vans and mail trucks are. So having that low starting price with that efficiency would probably be very useful to a lot of people, and they have higher trims, of course, that can go well over 200 miles on a charge, but implement a lot of the same technology they demonstrated in the lifestyle vehicle, like the drive-by-wire, and they like being able to have this like extra amount of visibility so that you can look directly in front of the vehicle, whereas most cars and vans have a pretty big engine there that's kind of hard to look through. They like having that solid piece of glass there so you can see everything around you, and they do plan on launching these vehicles with level 2.5 autonomous driving, so that means a lot of lane assistance, automatic stopping at stop signs and stoplights, and cruise control, of course, and that type of thing. Not too much of an emphasis on performance. As you can tell, Canoo is mostly about utility-based vehicles, so these are not going to be incredibly fast, but of course the main reason most people are hearing about them now is they've recently unveiled this pickup truck variant, which definitely looks heavily inspired from both the lifestyle vehicle and kind of the delivery van at the same time because of how modular and how many different things can unfold and pop out and change based on your use case. The feature I was most impressed with, aside from the stepping ladder that lets you get to the top of the truck really easily, was if you wanted to extend your bed, they built in these panels that allow you to convert it from a 6-foot bed into an 8-foot bed whenever you need to, and then that allows the vehicle to not take up so much space and make it pretty easy for parking and fitting in your garage, but whenever you're in that pinch where you need more cargo space, you can expand it as needed. And while it's only a 2-door, probably 2 or 3-seater, I'm not sure, it might end up being a 3-seater by the time it comes out. For someone like me, that would be perfect, because someone like me and my wife, we don't have any kids, so we don't need a bunch of seats in the car, but being able to fit lots of things in the back, while at the same time being able to park it and navigate it in tight spaces, I could see this being extremely practical, and they're saying there's going to be both all-wheel drive and single motor options. The top tier variant is going to go over 200 miles on a charge, so nothing crazy. Hopefully by the time it launches it can surpass 300 miles on a charge. That would be much better. But if you're wondering if this sounds way worse than the Cybertruck, my guess is it's going to be competing in a completely different market because it's most likely going to be cheaper than the Cybertruck, knowing how Canoo is pricing their delivery van around $33,000 for the base model, I'm expecting the pickup truck to probably start at sub $40,000, which would certainly place it in a different price category than the Cybertruck. And unfortunately, at this time, they have not disclosed what they expect the truck to cost, so you're gonna have to speculate along with me on that one about what they're gonna price it as. Obviously, if they end up pricing it at $50,000, yeah, I think this thing's gonna be pretty niche and probably not compete with the Cybertruck as well. But if they're going for a more entry-level, approachable price to more demographics, I could see this being very practical for people who need a big bed and need to be able to have different workbenches and take advantage of that cool little front desk they have, but don't need to haul around a bunch of people, which I'll be honest, I see a lot of people in today's day and age driving big trucks around just by themselves or with one other person. And because the truck is smaller, your towing capacity and payload isn't going to be as crazy high, so they're saying around 1,800 pounds of payload capacity. Though when it comes to the aesthetics, I must say I'm kind of a fan. I know that not everyone was a fan of the Cybertruck design when it first got unveiled, but I was kind of one of those people that has fallen in love with weird looking designs as long as they're functional and allow for the design to be more practical and affordable. That's what kind of made me start falling in love with the Cybertruck, is knowing all of the reasons it's designed the way it is, and that allows it to be priced the way it is, and that also brings all of these great durability benefits. And it's also the reason I'm a big fan of the Aptera, is because while it is a very bizarre and odd looking design, it allows for this extreme aerodynamic efficiency that makes solar on a vehicle start to actually make sense. And kind of the same thing with this Canoo all-electric pickup truck, because the design is a bit bizarre. It's definitely not your traditional looking pickup truck, but it allows it to be much more practical with this design, and hopefully being able to share the same platform between the lifestyle vehicle, the delivery van, and now this pickup truck. They can improve on affordability while still allowing a lot of use cases with so many different compartments to toy around with and so many different customization options they love demonstrating on their website. So they don't expect to launch this delivery truck until 2023, which means that it's definitely going to be a tad late to the party compared to the Rivians launching later this year alongside the Cybertruck launching next year, probably the all-electric F-150 next year as well. Somewhere in there the Hummer EV is sitting around, but I don't think it's competing with anything. The Hummer is just being a Hummer out in the corner. But either way, after reading a lot about what Canoo is working on and seeing how much road testing they're doing with their skateboard and their lifestyle vehicles, they're doing long distance road trips with them, they're doing winter testing with them. Of course, they're in the process of building out the mass production assembly line, and they don't expect their first vehicles to hit city streets until around the second quarter of next year. So they've got a ways to go, and I'm hoping they can kind of slow down on the unveilings, focus more on bringing their products to market instead. But either way, I'm very impressed with what they've unveiled so far, and I honestly think more companies should be open to the idea of having some lower range EVs for people who care about affordability and don't want to have to drop $40,000 to $50,000 on every single EV they buy. And I also love all of the utility-based design traits they incorporate in every single one of their products, whether it wants to be a 7-seater, whether they want to bring like furniture into the car and cover it with 22 different windows, make it as futuristic and as modern as possible. I'm a big fan of a lot of what they're doing so far, so I'm wishing them the best. They are publicly traded, which before you have a product delivered, that kind of irks me a bit, because sometimes it feels like the company just wants to unveil and announce certain things so that people buy their stock and that they get access to more capital. Gets a little bit of the Nikola vibes whenever I see that happening, but I get it. EV companies are expensive. They need a lot of money to ramp up production, so it's kind of unavoidable at this point in the EV industry to just lay money on the table to not do anything. So I get why they do it, but still, I'm just saying invest at your own risk, not financial advice. But I'm hoping this delivery truck can see the market. I'm hoping their lifestyle vehicle can hit the market next year, and I would love to try one. If it's just a month-to-month subscription thing, if I could just subscribe to one for even a week or a day, just drive it around, give you my opinions, I think that might be real fun. So what do you guys think of Canoo? And let me know if you would like more videos on their technology directly, and should we compare them more to a rival and how many similarities they have there? Feel free to let me know. Thank you all for watching. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.